What you want is teams who are really curious, who really are willing to test and learn and change and adapt and get feedback, because the world is changing so fast around us that you want teams to be really in tune with that.
Welcome to the Adaptive Organisation, an audio series about why today's businesses must transform at speed to withstand uncertainty. What capabilities do organisations need in order to embrace a digital-first, adaptable business model? And how can leaders manage this change most effectively? I'm Megan Wright, Senior Editor at Longitude, a Financial Times company, and joining me to answer some of these questions is Jennifer Tippin, Group Chief Transformation Officer at NatWest. Jennifer says building a people-centric digital business requires just as much thought about what skills and resources are needed as how the change itself is delivered.
Being agile and working in a digital world means that you really have to be able to adapt at pace. I mean, look at what's happened over the last year with the pandemic. What banks and other sectors have had to do is really respond at pace to the needs of our customers. And that means that it's not just about people and skills, although that's really critically important. It's also how change is delivered. What we find is that change is delivered in smaller, more iterative releases. There's much more test and learn. There's much more development of a minimum viable product or proposition that you can test with your customers, get feedback, and then iterate and improve.
What are some of the talent and skills gaps that need to be addressed in order for teams to be able to deliver in the way you've just described? And do you think firms are actually doing enough to close these gaps and create truly people-centric digital workforces?
In terms of skills and behaviours, what you really want is for your workforce and your teams to be able to have that adaptability at their core. Clearly, there are skills that are very high in demand. And I think my view there would be that generic skills really are not going to be sufficient in the future. It's very much around those really high quality specialist skills that are so important to create that distinctive advantage. And one of the ways in which we try and support that is through our academies. So we have a talent academy that runs across NatWest that supports colleagues from different backgrounds to develop and build their skills. We also have specific skills academies like our Data Academy, which now has over 2,000 members and is really a way of creating that kind of sort of community of practice in what is clearly a very important skill for us. The final thing that I would say is that if organisations really want to create a digital workforce and attract the right level of skill and talent to their businesses, then the employee value proposition really needs to adapt to suit those individuals. And the way in which we work has changed so significantly over the course of the last year. The possibility is now there, ready to work from anywhere, particularly for these colleagues working in digital teams. They want the flexibility, they want the opportunity to be able to work very, very flexibly. And of course, businesses and organizations need to be able to respond to that. So it's not just about talent and skills, it's also about the way in which organizations work and how they can adapt at pace for the future.
I'm glad you mentioned pace and scale there, because a recent Fujitsu study on enterprise adaptability actually found that 38% of leaders define resilience as the ability to deal with and respond to competitive and market disruptions. And I think we've seen that really come to a head with COVID and the fact that it's really forced this change at scale and pace. So how are organisations ensuring they have the resources and skills needed to deliver at pace as a technology business?
Do you know what? I think it's a very different way of working. If you're going to build digital teams, the first thing you need to do is really be able to empower that team. Yes, to work on common backlogs and priorities that leaders have set, but really giving the tools and the mandate to the team to be able to run their work as they see fit and really feel like they have that empowerment, they have that responsibility, they have the backing of the organisation. I think the second thing is, you need to be able to set up the teams with the right vision. and inspire those teams with what they are trying to achieve for our customers, what problems are they trying to solve, what outcomes are they looking to drive. So really to get that kind of clear vision up front. And then the final thing I would say, and this is at the heart of working in an agile manner, is you have to have a culture of continuous improvement or continuous learning. What you want is teams who are really curious, who really are willing to test and learn and change and adapt and get feedback, but are really looking to build that curiosity about what particular propositions work well for customers, how can they be continuously improved, because the world is changing so fast around us that you want teams to be really in tune with that. So it's a big challenge, but I think if anything, the events over the course of the last year have proven why this way of working is really right for digital businesses going forward.
It's a good point. And if there's one thing we've seen since the onset of the pandemic, it's that every business now needs to be a truly digital business in order to survive. What has that meant for you at NatWest?
I mean, we've definitely seen a significant acceleration in digital adoption from our customers, and I would say also greater adaptability. Now, of course, we've kept almost all of our branches open, about 95% of our branches open. So customers have continued to be able to go into a branch if they need to get that support or if customers are particularly vulnerable. But a lot of customers have actually switched to digital processes. We've seen very significant growth in both our digital and mobile customer base in particular over the course of the last year. And more than half our retail customers are now exclusively using digital channels to interact with us, and about 2/3 of our commercial banking sales are now being made via digital channels. We've got over 9 million digitally active customers and nearly 8 million customers transacting with us on their mobile. And both of these numbers have gone up quite a bit over the course of the last year. The other thing that we've seen is I would say, pretty substantial growth in the number of customers wishing to talk to us digitally, either via a chatbot or using artificial intelligence, obviously over the phone, but also via video. And just to bring that to life a little bit, so in January 2020, we were doing about 100 video conversations a week with our customers. Now we're doing well in excess of 15,000 a week. So we've seen really spectacular growth in customers looking to use alternative channels. And I would say this acceleration that we've seen in customers' digital adoption has probably been the scale of about 5 years within 12 months. So pretty significant change.
So how and why does becoming a technology business then really require so much more than simply investing in the technology and physical infrastructure?
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. It does require an awful lot more than just investing in tech and our physical infrastructure. And the reason for that is because absolutely we are a bank that's operating in the digital world, but we're a relationship-driven bank. So we're not really a technology business. We leverage technology. But what we try and do is build, I guess, a brilliant marriage between having yes, the best in technology, but also offering our customers the very best people to work with, the very best people to get advice with, because lots of customers still want to talk to someone and they still want to get advice where necessary. So that's really important. I think the second reason why it's much more than just investing in technology is we're a purpose-led bank. We believe that the work that we do really helps our customers, and that if we do well, so will our community, so will our society, and so will the overall economy here in the UK. It's also about being open on the outside. So banks these days have to be very connected, but they also have to be able to be open, leveraging open technology to be able to partner with vendors, with suppliers, with fintechs, and really build powerful partnerships and ventures through the use of APIs. And that isn't possible unless you are really open on the outside. But more than anything, to become a successful business in a digital world, it's also about having the right people. And it's about having people with the right skills, with the right background and experience, having a fully inclusive and diverse workforce where people can develop and have fantastic and thriving careers.
I'm curious to know what lessons you've learned, both as a leader and NatWest as an organisation, over the past 12 months, and which changes or lessons in particular you'll be adopting as long-term strategies that you may not otherwise have had as a bank.
Yeah, well, as I said, I think these models do challenge many of the traditional ways in which you set up teams, recruit teams, build teams, organize teams. And it's really up to leaders in the organization to empower teams with this way of working, support them, and give them the right mandate. It's a very significant change from traditional ways of working. I think the other thing that I've learned is that it doesn't always go perfectly. There are some things that you need to respond to. There are challenges that need to be overcome. But if you go into it with the right mindset and one of test and learn, iterative improvement, then I think that really, really helps. There are a couple of key examples, I would say, from our experience about what can happen when you really do get it right. The first was the Bounce Back Loans platform, which we launched within 6 days. And clearly this was something which our customers were really keen, and given what was happening with the pandemic last year, it was so important for us to respond very quickly to the needs of our customers. And we were able to launch a fully end-to-end automated platform for our customers within 6 days. So I think that demonstrates the power and agility of what can happen if you get it right. I think the other example I would give is a recent proposition called Pay It, which allows our customers to pay for goods from their choice of bank account using an e-commerce platform. It's fast, it's cost-effective, it's simple, and it's safe, and it uses open banking as a payment solution. Here, through working on this proposition and through launching it, we've learned an awful lot. It was developed as a minimum viable proposition. Many of our customers helped us test it. It was built using a small and agile team, and it's been really successful. And I think one of the reasons why we're so proud of it is because we became the payments partner to Sir Captain Tom Moore's foundation. And I think all of us that have lived in this country over the course of the last year have been so proud of how that foundation flourished and how it really captured the public's imagination. So I think it just shows how the combination of brilliant causes like Sir Captain Tom Moore's cause in spirit and support of the NHS, together with digital technology, can come together to create something that's really quite special.
Absolutely. Jen, thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
You're welcome.
This interview is part of Fujitsu's campaign on organisational adaptability. It is produced by Longitude, a Financial Times company, in partnership with Fujitsu. Thanks for listening.